What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot and Friends. Justin here, and how are you feeling? You feeling warm, feeling cozy? The moon's in Leo, and I think that there's gonna be a lot of talking about when I think about Leo, it's the things that fuel the heart, the thing that just get you just excited about life. But I think that there's a bigger thing that's coming into this particular reading where it's going to be talking about the lion in the pride when it's in a group of lions and when there's that collective energy that's coming into the mix here. It's very interesting what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, if you're new here, again, my name is Justin. And know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But this is also a place for if you happen to have Cancer in your placements, sun, moon, rising, wherever. This one's for you. And I do tarot cards, friends. Based on that lovely luminary, the good old moon. Got to see her the other day. She was strong in Taurus. Whenever, because the moon's in Gemini now when I'm recording this. But yeah, she was looking mighty. That crescent shape was beautiful. And I'm gonna talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void of course, just all of those lunar shenanigans, which we are gonna get into the void of course today. So that's exciting. And just so y'all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's get into it, because yeah, we do have quite a bit to discuss here today. It's going to be some interesting energies going on here. But before we go into that and how appropriate, depending on when you're watching this, happy Sunday. The sun is associated with, okay, take a guess. And it's cool here because, the sun is the sign that rules over Leo. So we got this extra solar energy going on. But I find that Sundays are really great for the sun is the life that fuels the body, the soul's like the connection to the higher mind. So I like to think of the sun as the thing that make you shine, the things that really light you up with the sun, that creative spark, that inspired part of you, that when you're in the flow, what does that look like? Doing more of those things with the sun. And the sun can also bring about recognition and things. So I find that this could be a great energy to work with, especially maybe during the sun hours. If you have sort of like a presentation that you need to do, maybe doing it like on a Mercury day during the sun hour could really get you shining bright, really get the best parts of yourself out there. And one thing that I also like doing with these days is I think about my relationship with the sun all the time. I had a bunch of Leo placements, so I have to know what's going on with the sun. My sun's in Cancer in the 12th house, doing a lot. And so, how do you feel? Is your son doing a lot? Or is your son doing just right? Maybe, whatever that's looking like for you. I like to think that. And also, too, sun transits. How do sun transits look like for you when the sun is lighting up a new portion of your chart? Well, how do you experience that when you're feeling different aspects from the sun? What does that look like? What sort of things come up for you? That can be very beneficial energies that can come forward. And I like to check even, let's say for example, if you were, your son's in Cancer, I like to check in with like every quarter just to see how I am doing on my path as far as like that divine path that the sun highlights. I'll check at Libra season, it's like 1552 of Libra, and then I'll check the same degrees at Capricorn and the same time again around Aries. And just to give myself just quarterly check-ins on how I am doing on just kind of a broader scale there. So those can be just some nice things to do with the sun there. But let's get into the lunar shenanigans, because on the 9th of March, the moon is going to enter into Leo at about 3:59 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, and she's in a waxing gibbous phase. Now the waxing gibbous is where after the first quarter we've been analyzing what's been going on, and now we've been making some tweaks, and the momentum is building in the waxing crescent. And I like that it's building in Leo. So let's say if you're starting a new health routine, let's say maybe you started to cook more foods, this could be really starting to enjoy the process here. Just be really present with that activity. Or maybe you just started working out, or maybe you started a new relationship, or maybe whatever that is, there's something about a presence there, and like, okay, how do I keep this thing growing? How do I give this thing life with the moon? Because when you think about Leo energy, they are ruled by the sun. They're a fixed fire sign. They're active or yang in energy or in nature. And so I find that Leo is when you find that thing that's in alignment with you. You know, when you're living your calling, whether this is to be a scientist, whether this is to be a florist, whether this is to be a husband, whether this is to be in the Navy, it's that thing that just gives more life to you. You know, that's what I think Leo energy is best for. It's about entertaining that inner child within us to keep that primordial fire burning. I like to think of Leo as an oven. And you want to think about the things that you're using as fuel for that oven. Are they supporting that higher light, that energy, or is it depleting you? That's something you really, I think, can get really great insights, I think, with the moon in Leo, and paying attention to those types of things. The people that you hang around, that's going to be a big thing, I think, that we're going to talk about in this. The people that are around you, are they raising the vibration, or are they lowering the vibration? And I get where people, you know, they're allowed their time and space and things, but how does that look like? You know, if this has been a consistent thing from start to present, there may be some stuff that we need to reevaluate there. So that's where I think the Leo energy can bring great insights. Now, let's talk about the void of course phase, because the now, normally in kind of like modern astrology, you'll hear the void of course talked about being every time right before the moon changes into a new sign. It lasts maybe, sometimes it can be a couple hours, sometimes it can be a couple of minutes, depending on what system you work with. But I work with whole sign. I've been working with more of kind of the Hellenistic sort of practices and digging into that. And so, in that terms of void of course, the void of course period is when the moon is, it doesn't matter what sign she's crossing between, it's when the moon has more than 30 degrees of where she hasn't formed an aspect with the planet, because the moon, more than any other celestial body, is she's busy. She's always talking with someone at some given point. But this is a period of a huge swath of time that she's not having a conversation with anyone. And this is what they would call canodromia, or void of course, roaming the void. And this happens on Moon Day, which would be the 10th of March. And it starts at about 4:45 p.m. and then goes until Jupiter Day, that's a Thursday, the 13th of March, until about 3:12 a.m. So it's about 2.5 days where she's just not talking with anyone. And how I like to think about, or one way I like to think about this, if you think about yourself as like a cell phone, the rising sign of the body is the actual device. The sun energy would be the electricity that's fueling the device. And then the moon would be like the Wi-Fi. And you can imagine the void of course period as you don't have any Wi-Fi. And so now it's just like we're just working with whatever you got at that moment. There's some apps that are going to work. There's some things that are going to still keep moving, maybe that don't require that kind of connection. But I find that the void of course period is a real time to get present. It's a great time to just unplug, because there is no communication that's happening right now. It's just her in spirit that the moon is in. And I find that this can be a really great time to be present with your friends, your family, your loved ones, things like that. And you know, I think the void of course too really is just a great time to just recharge, because March is a very active month, astrologically, and we have quite a few void of courses that are going to be happening. I want to say about three of them in March, about three, where we have like these big, like, you know, these days where it's just like the moon's not making any aspects. And you got to think too, the moon is what's kind of feeding the kind of like on a collective scale. The moon, it's what's giving us kind of the downloads from the other planets. It's the closest thing to the Earth, so that's why the moon is so important to us. But now that we're not getting any sort of, let's say, like any sort of guidance or anything right now, this is a time to really kind of tune in, to get quiet, to yeah, to just to get into that other side, because then after this period we're going to be, the next thing we're going to be talking about is the lunar eclipse that's going to be happening there. So there's going to be a lot that's going on with the void, of course. So just between these periods of time, if you can, however much your schedule allows, allow yourself that time to take a break, maybe take a nap if you find yourself kind of low on energy. And this is not really a great time to be starting up any new sort of endeavors right now. I'd be mindful of that. And don't just take my words for it. These are just sort of like some things that have been observed, but see for yourself what that looks like. Life is going to keep going whether the moon's going void, of course, or not. So if there's nothing that you can't help, just try to pay attention to see how the energies of yourself and how others around you too are operating in this period of time. But yeah, this, I think there could be a time to get some, you could be very drained. So taking up unplugging from social media for a little bit could be very beneficial for you too. But one other thing that I want to talk about this, and then we'll move on, is one thing I remember. I took a course on talking about the Voida course, and this guy Alexander Kolesnikov did a really great, I think, Voida course kind of course on Udemy. So that's something, if you ever want to check that out, I would definitely give that a look. But he mentioned about and I think this is just a fun idea to just explore in this. But he had mentioned that the last aspect that the moon forms kind of flavors the void, of course, during that period of time. Give you something that, like, while you're in this meditation, reflective, sort of like restorative sort of space here, that a sextile with Jupiter could be very positive, void of course, these next few days there. There can be an opportunity there for some real growth, because this is happening. The void of course begins at, the moon will be at 13 degrees and 12 minutes of Leo, and she'll be, the next aspect that she'll form, or when this thing ends, is at 13 and 28 of Virgo. So during this period of time, there could be, see where you have houses, or what houses those are crossing between for you. So for example, there could be, for me, like I have a Leo rising, like I was saying. So this could be an opportunity for, this actually happened pretty close to my ascendant. So this could be a time for me to, again, maybe take care of my body, to do some, just like some kind of nice things, make sure I'm actually looking at my moon stuff, I'm in that kind of anyway. So like this is actually even more imperative. Just take some time to chill, stretch, make sure to exercise, be eating healthy foods, things along those lines. And then even going into that Virgo, which would be my second house, my money house, maybe not spending any sort of making any sort of like big purchases or anything along those lines. Thinking it's taking a couple of days before investing in some sort of stuff like that, or being mindful of any sort of purchases, any sort of impulse buyings during this time. Just kind of really be just mindful with the money. Give that a break. That might be just some ways to just kind of play around with this and see what houses this is calling for you, what maybe things come up, and just kind of watch these couple of days. Just observe what comes up for you, and leave in the comment section how this may manifest for you. But yeah, usually not a great time to start up things, do anything that requires any sort of like tangible signing of contracts. I'd be mindful of that too. If you have any sort of like important documents that maybe need to be reviewed or things, I'd be aware of that. If you can help it. I get it. We got to work with the schedule the way that we can, but just some things to think about there. But I think that's all I got for you there. So if you want to work more personally with the moon placement, maybe you want to do your lunar return. I actually just did. I'm in a new lunar return right now, and it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I've been getting a lot of sixth house themes as of over this, just kind of analyzing that, and it's really, really useful to notice the cycles and themes that are coming up for you, and even analyzing why these sort of things are coming up for you. So yeah, I got some thoughts about that. But if that's something that you find yourself wanting to work with and get more personal with your chart, or just kind of follow these transits more so, or if you just want an I Ching reading, a tarot card reading, that's all available for you down in the description box. There's a link for all of my services, so definitely check that out. But speaking of I Ching, let's go ahead and get into your general energy of the day, because yeah, we're going to be talking about alliances, because you got hexagram number 8 here, which speaks of alliance. Now, the oracle for this one, or the translation for this, is kings gain innumerable territories by maintaining close relations with feudal lords. Good auspices to come. To conquer the great floods and enemies, hold an assembly of the gods on the mountain. The last chieftain to arrive at the king's court was beheaded. A budding rebellion is simmering. And we are getting into kind of turbulent times, just kind of collectively. There's a lot that's going on, and I think that with one thing that this is talking about is that sense of togetherness. In the chaos, how do we band together to withstand the great floods and the enemies to come, even not just like the physical energies or enemies, even just like the mental enemies that are coming in through the things that maybe have been the anxieties, the fears, all of those sort of things. How can you find yourself a group to feel like you're grounded in this, that in tough times, that there is a safety net, that I got you, you got me. And there may be something where, and this is interesting because I think it's when we talk about and just to mention there, if you want to look at the changing line, which I found really interesting, if you change this, you got that your changing line was line number 5, and if you change that, that actually turns to the hexagram of, number 2 is something about being receptive. It's just all earth, and this hexagram is water over earth, and let's get to that 5th line, because I found that was very interesting what it talks about here in terms of alliances. For the 5th line, it says, the king gives chase to the birds and beasts from 3 sides, leaving a path for the prey to survive. The fiefdom is spared, an auspicious omen. And I think that through these tough times, that when because listen, with everything cycles, we may find ourselves in, maybe, like, let's say collectively, maybe there seems like a lot of things that are going on, but the tides will shift. Jupiter's going to be entering into Cancer soon. Mars is going to be moving out of Cancer. There is going to be some positive energy, some relief that's going to be coming through in all of the astrology that's coming on there. And I find that when we do get ahead, and we find others, maybe who people will, let's say, for example, an easy one would just be of politics. Maybe someone is choosing a certain side, and that that creates this rift. And let's say, however things go, this is not stooping to that person's level. Maybe they were insulting you. Maybe they were doing this, saying that your decision was this, that, and the third. But I find that if things were to go reverse, and then they find that the side that they were supporting isn't actually doing so well, this isn't just stooping to that same sort of tyrannical behavior, that sort of mercilessness. This is a time to be more humane, to show clemency, to not be where you don't have to necessarily associate with that person again, but let them know that this is you've made your bed, now you need to lie in it. I think that there's something there with that, like, not rubbing salt on the wound. I think that there's to be able to hold the outcome gracefully, because I do feel like this, if we're, and that's where this Leo energy maybe need to looking at the people who are supporting your growth and who aren't supporting your growth. And sometimes that we have to let those other people go out and go get caught up in the rebellion, whatever that's looked like. But there is a change that's a coming. And I think that making sure that the people that you are surrounded with are ones that you feel safe with, that that there is that bond, that you have, maybe have some, real conversations as far as, like, what does that look like? Do we want to, getting that a stronger sense of community, maybe even that could be something that's coming through there. But I do think that there is a sense of the justice card here, and I think we'll go ahead and switch over here. But this was definitely, when we're talking about that 5th line, there is this energy of the justice card that was coming through there. And it would say in history that when the kings would go after for the hunt, when they would go to chase birds and different beasts, that they would approach from 3 sides, but they would leave a path for them to escape. you know. And so I think that there is something there about letting justice play out the way it will. It's not about seeking revenge, it's about rising above and letting the universe, because the universe always balances things out in the end. I think when you have such a massive awakening of people, that of course there's going to be an opposition against that, but there's power in the collective. I think more so than people, and that's what I think this energy is, you know, getting for all of us to just really kind of realize there. And yeah, you know, and I would say just be mindful too. That's interesting that it talks about a budding rebellion. Actually, just there was a, I'm in Washington, and there was a protest right outside where I was happened to be walking around there, and so yeah, the energy's stirring up there, and I don't think that this is a really a question of like just like whose sides are you on. It's just like how can we just like get through this together. You know, I don't think this is meant to be to be like a pitting one against the other, if that makes sense for you. So just some things I think to just kind of meditate on there. Again, considering where we're at as far as like alliances and things like that. I think that's a very poignant sort of oracle for this reading there. But and you know, again, that kingliness of the lion, you know, being the person that stable force that's able to help move around the earth. So just something to think about there. But let's go ahead, and I think we're going to shift over here, but I got some last messages here. These readings that I do for the tarot, they're not gender specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situation. And I'm going to ring this bell to bring in some, to kind of switch over the vibes of the tarot, so adjust your volume if you need to, but let's go ahead and get into this thing. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull 6 cards here, and they're going to cover different themes. And considering that you got changing line 5, the 5th card we're going to go ahead and get a clarifier for. But the first topic is going to talk about any sort of short-term money matters. So let's see what's going on with the finances here. Nice. We're celebrating. You got the 4 of Wands here. And you know what? Maybe this is just, you know, maybe you're thinking about doing a sort of proposal. This is the 4 of Wands is a very interesting card. This is Venus in Aries, but that when you think about that, that's the Emperor and the Empress there. And so maybe you're thinking about buying an engagement ring, maybe sort of like wedding ring. Maybe you're thinking about possibly renewing some sort of vows here. Maybe even this could be where we're celebrating a covenant possibly here, sort of like an alliance, maybe a union here where you've taken this initiation where it's like, okay, we're going to maybe pull together some assets possibly here, or set aside maybe just some like maybe some extra food. Maybe you end up talking with like neighbors and we get like a gardening project together. That's just like, I'm just throwing out some ideas about how that could look. But maybe there is thinking about like, where do I stand? Where am I going to put my resources right now? That might even be something that is coming up, kind of coming up there with this 4 of Wands here. But I do think that with this short-term money matters, like this could be time to do maybe just like a getting together with some friends maybe, or with some family, maybe going out with your partner or whatever that's looking like, and just inviting some, even though it speaks of like a rebellion of brewing and things along the great floods and things, that there can still be times for some joy in between this, that even if we're kind of concerned about any sort of money matters, that you can, there are other ways or alternatives to enjoy things. Maybe you go for like a picnic with the 4 of Wands, or maybe this is just sort of going just window shopping, or maybe you're going to just like the park, or maybe going on a hike, something along those lines there. So just a little something to meditate on there. But let's go ahead and get into the second card here, which is going to talk about medical matters. But keep in mind here, like I always do a disclaimer there, talk with your doctor. This is not medical advice. So let's see what's going on with the body. Interesting. So you got the Two of Cups here. And I would say for one with this, make sure to check in with your body. Make sure to give it a lot of love, to give it a lot of nurturing energy. You got a lot of Venus energy. I'm just noticing, just kind of just starting off here. And Venus is retrograde right now, so this may be even an invitation to see where you have Venus retrograde and where you have Aries, because that's where Venus is retrograding and back into Pisces. Because maybe there's some sort of like relationship that's needing to be reviewed there that's been maybe causing a lot of stress, or maybe you've been missing someone here as of late. Maybe there's someone that you're taking care of, maybe even with this Two of Cups here, and there may even need to be a time to, while you're taking care of this person, maybe you can find some ways to celebrate in this little moments here, enjoying those maybe kind of those moments with people as well, being more present. And that's really what when we're talking about the void of course, that could be a great time too to do those sort of kind of more things that require you to be more present, more in the moment. So but yeah, definitely take care of, let's say, and I think that there's too this medical matters, because we're dealing with the emotions here when we're getting into the cups. I really am feeling this togetherness that's happening, like how that can even make the heart feel good, how that can make that, to know that you have that security, that there's that love there, and whatever that looks like for you and your support, and just really kind of maybe checking in with your support group, but also checking in with your relationship with source, with spirit. I think there's another thing. The Two of Cups can always be that relationship between you and yourself, how you're handling these things during this time. Has there been a lot of emotions? Where can you bring in some love, some tenderness, some compassion? Now let's get into the third card, which talks about legal matters and social affairs. Let's see what's going on there. All right. New beginnings, new ideas, that legal matters. We were talking about Four of Wands, and we'll see when we get to the next card. But this could be just an idea. Maybe you want to, again, maybe we're thinking about some sort of union there. And it could be maybe a separation. Yeah, take that as it resonates. But I do more so feel that this is the idea of maybe something that's a budding romance that's happening here. Like this could be where you go to meet someone at a social affair. Maybe you've just been in a need just to kind of get out there, to just have a real kind of authentic connection with some people. Maybe just get into where there's some laughter, some more kind of lighthearted energy, just with this Two of Cups, this Four of Wands here. Someone presents you with an idea, going out there, seeing what it could do. Maybe you might not feel like it, but you never know who you meet. You never know who you meet. So I think that's just something that's really kind of coming up there. If there's any sort of social affairs, like I'd pay just attention to any sort of invitations and things like that. Or maybe you decide to host a little get together. That might even be something to think about. But let's talk about your next card, which is going to deal with romantic matters and marriage, things along those lines. Oh, there's Leo. You got the Strength card here, and I love that. I think that this can be a great time for, if you already are in an existing relationship, to strengthen that. Maybe there is like a renewal, like I think I mentioned that, like a renewal of vows, just to something to solidify this, or maybe it's taking something to that next step, having that courage to take something to the next step there. Maybe this could even be to the idea of welcoming the fact that you're ready for love. Maybe you did go through a separation there, and then it's been some time, and now you're finding the strength to get back out there again, to feel vulnerable, to go to those social affairs, whatever that might look like there. But I also think too, just thinking about with that, that fifth line, how it was talking about the leaving a path for the prey. I there's something there about not letting someone else's happiness sap away from your fun, from your strength, from thinking that, like, just because like they've moved on, that that they didn't mean anything. I think like there's something that maybe about getting in one's head, possibly. So that's just another thing that's coming through there. Now let's get to the fifth card, which deals with any sort of like immediately pressing affairs or any sort of like immediate matters that are coming up, and then we'll get this will be the one that we get a clarifier with, but let's see what's going on here. Oh, all right, so you got the death card here, Scorpio energy, and something's changing. You know, there's something evolving here. I'm just getting something with like with the legal matters that maybe there is, because the death card isn't like a literal death, but I think that there is something here where maybe there's a transition that's going on. Maybe we're going from being single into being married, and in that sense there's a death of that bachelor or bachelorette era of our portions of time there. So, but I think that there is something bigger in the mix that's happening with this death card. Let me get a clarifier with that and see what's going on there, because there's a when we get the death card there's a big change that's happening. Interesting. So you have the Ace of Pentacles upright, and so this feels more like an opportunity for something to change. This could be that maybe like if someone presents you with an idea, like let's say like again to go to an invitation towards something, or I even think that this could be where I'm even getting with just there could be even the changes in the finances, possibly here with the Ace of Pentacles, and it might be just like that joint finance thing that I'm talking about. Like there's like something coming together here with that Death card to the Ace of Pentacles. I'm even getting like a will, or even some sort of like inheritance energy that's coming through there. It may not even be something like a huge thing, but something that's coming up there. Maybe this is something that you're thinking about with your partner. Maybe you have this. It's just one of those things that's maybe just like a conversation that's needed to be had. Maybe we've been kind of far along in this relationship, and it's like, what is that? What is this evolving to? What is this? What are those next steps? And yeah, some serious conversation is maybe needing to be happen here. Maybe even like an investment that's going to change things. Maybe you're looking to get into like a new home here, like whatever that might look like. But yeah, something to meditate on there. But let's get your last card here, which deals with the destiny or the karma, and then just the consequences of actions. Let's see what's going on there. Ha! So you got the Lovers here, and this is Gemini energy. And I think that there is a choice that's gonna need to be made here, especially in this immediate. I think a choice that really changes something big. This could be like maybe you deciding to move to a different state, different country. Again, maybe get in a different sort of like relationship, whether it be friendship. This could be, love relationship. Maybe we're even revisiting some maybe old dynamics possibly here. Maybe we thought something was finished here, but whatever that might be looking like. This could be even making just like a short trip or something like that, and who knows where that some sort of life turning event could potentially happen here. I'm getting a message of like for some, depending on this message, like it's like a leave your options open, and I mean that for like maybe leave your plans open. Yeah, because something's coming in the mix here with the Lovers card, but trust that that's going to be something that you kind of feel intuitively there. So, all right, let's get some advice from the Sun. All right. So you have the Hanged Man here, and let's go ahead and switch back over. Because with the Hanged Man, to me, this is the realization that something is changed, that a sacrifice is gonna it's needing to, that is gonna be made here, or it's like seeing something from a different viewpoint. This this even feels like seeing relationships, I think, in a new type of way. Maybe even seeing how much you've given to something, and maybe seeing that dynamic shifting, possibly. Whatever that might look like. And maybe this with that strength card there in the just thinking in the romance and the marriage, like maybe there's a there's a conversation that's needing to be had. Maybe there's a reevaluation that's happening of the relationship. Maybe there's, you know, this is emotions that are coming up here with that Hanged Man. You know, we're sensing something that's changing. Yeah, that's just something to consider there. But I think that's all I got for you. So if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who can get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And then subscribe there, you strength card, strong one, you. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And then I'm going to shuffle for your surprise card or cards here. But if you want to know what's going on in the with the other celestial bodies, down in the description box is a link for my other channel, the Chariot, or not the Chariot Friends, you're here, for Alchemist 8, where I do weekly videos talking about the transits and how to, what signs are going to be traveling through, so you know what house to look at and how these energies may be working with you. I go over the different aspects. And I also do videos talking about different planets and different signs and different houses. It's a fun little series that I'm doing. I got them all by playlist there. So definitely check that out if you want to, just some thoughts about your astrological placements and things like that. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But let's go ahead and get to your surprise cards here. All right, so you have so you got the knowledge card here, and then you have the safe travel. And I do think with this knowledge card, I think it's one thing to know something with this knowledge card, but then you got that lovers. It's like, what are you going to do with the knowledge that you have? Because there's a journey, I think, with this safe travel card here that's needing to be had. And maybe this is a journey through how you're changing, how maybe a relationship, a certain dynamic, something is it's different that's happening here right now. And it's just like, how are we going to move forward safely through this? You know, how are we going to move forward practically? What is this? You know, maybe we're, you know, have to join, you know, are we joining bank accounts? Or maybe this is even like starting up a different business. You know, maybe you're getting ready to get into a contract with someone, and it's just like, how is this thing going to work? Maybe you're doing some sort of work. Maybe this is making a choice to do some sort of work to save travel, maybe overseas. That might even be something that's happening there if you're thinking about pursuing some sort of business there. Maybe that's what's immediately kind of pressing there. You know, are you going to make this trip? Are you going to make this thing here? Maybe there's someone who's going to get you in connection with someone there. And I even think with the advice how the sun was presented the Hanged Man, I think that there's a knowledge here that you have from maybe past relationships. And again, this doesn't have to just be romantic, but just in general, how you've maybe spent your time, your money, things like that. And now you have that knowledge, and it's just like you're able to move going forward more effectively, more efficiently, and just kind of catch the signs a bit earlier. knowing when something's worth it to invest in something, and when we're noticing like a need to change something there. So yeah, just a little something to meditate on. But I think that's everything for you. Bam. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep eyes on that moon. And I will catch you on the next one. When am I going to catch you? Mercury Day.